Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
King Charles III may strike you as an unlikely fashion icon, but the monarch is renowned for his understated, quintessentially English style. Always impeccably turned out, King Charles has a penchant for a well-cut, double-breasted suit, accessorized with a colourful silk tie and pocket square. He is a staunch supporter of traditional British brands, with a focus on quality, durability and sustainability, whether it is shirts from Turnbull and Asser, handmade shoes by John Lobb, or the Panama hats and tweed caps from Lock & Co. hatters. The King undoubtedly has a taste for the finer things in life, but he also flies the flag for responsible consumerism. Not only does he make a point of sending his clothes off to be repaired rather than throwing them away, he also drives an Aston Martin with an engine that has been converted to run on green fuel made out of white wine and whey. Ladies, are you getting ready for the coronation of King Charles III? If so, you may be wondering what hat etiquette is expected on this special and unique occasion. First of all, it's important to choose a hat that complements your outfit and is appropriate for the occasion. For a formal event like a coronation, it's best to wear a hat with a wide brim and minimal embellishments. Secondly, you should never take your hat off during the event, even when indoors. However, it would be courteous to remove your hat or headpiece if it were very, very big and likely to obstruct the view of the person sitting behind you. Finally, if you need to greet someone, tilt your hat slightly forward as a sign of respect. So ladies, remember to choose a suitable hat, wear it correctly, and show your respect for the occasion. Enjoy the coronation of King Charles III. Hats have been an important part of men's fashion for centuries, and it's important to understand hat etiquette, especially when attending a momentous occasion like the coronation of King Charles III. When it comes to royal events, there are some basic rules that every man should follow. First and foremost, make sure your hat is appropriate for the occasion. A classic fedora or a top hat would be an excellent choice for the coronation ceremony. When greeting someone, it's customary to tip your hat as a sign of respect. If you need to remove your hat, hold it in your left hand to avoid any confusion. And finally, when putting your hat back on, use your right hand to avoid bumping into others. Remember, wearing a hat is not just about style, it's also about etiquette. So be sure to follow these simple rules and enjoy the coronation of King Charles III in style.
To mark the King's coronation,
communities across the country are getting together to do something special.
It's called the Big Help Out,
and it's a chance to make a real difference
in your local area.
It's happening on Monday the 8th of May, and we want as many people as possible to get involved.
We'll be coming together to do our bit.
From checking in on someone who'd like a bit of company,
to volunteering for a charity.
There's something to suit helping hands of all shapes and sizes.
And the more of us who will join in,
the better.
So check out thebighelpout.org.uk,
where our handy app will show you all the different ways to help out near you.
Whether you're an individual,
an organisation or a business.
I'm lending a hand.
I am lending a hand.
I'm lending a hand.
I'm lending a hand.
If you can spare an hour, fantastic.
The day, amazing.
If we all do a bit,
It'll really help a lot.
People from all across the country coming together, doing their bit, making a difference.
the big help out. Join in,
Lend a hand.
Make a hand.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and our show today is The Power of Etiquette and Manners. Mr. Philip Sykes, who is the founder and principal of the British School of Excellence, who you just saw 3 videos about etiquette and fashion for the coronation. He is obviously very busy with the coronation and unable to make it today. So joining me is one of our fabulous team members, a very dear friend. She's going to be here to help us welcome our special guest who is coming back to share more about what's going on in her world. Let's welcome our co-host for today, the wonderful, the beautiful, the up early, DIANN Floyd BOEHM. Thank you so much for being with us today, DIANN.
It's great to be here. It's a true honor. And, to be on Philip's show and learn about etiquette, I shall be learning as well, just in those clips about hats. Who knew? Left, right, hand, hold. I'm like, okay. It's wonderful.
And DIANN, you and I are both wearing hats in respect and honor for the coronation. This was the only hat that I could find here, so this is what I'm going with, as opposed to a baseball cap. But you actually have another hat there as well, in addition to the one on your head. Tell us about that.
Here it is, and it fits what Philip was saying, a wide brim, the great thing about this brim is I can bring it up and kind of change its shape, and it has velvet around it, but it's a very soft, it just, very dignified and classic. So it doesn't take away from your outfit or from detracting away from who the stars are, which is the people attending the coronation. It also allows you to do that, tip that he was talking about. And for the most part, when I wear this one, I don't think I block people's views, but I'm sure someone would tap me and tell me to take it off if I was, but it's one of my favorites.
We have received a few complaints. I don't want to say anything. I'm kidding. Well, it's lovely to have you here today. This is definitely one of my favorite shows because etiquette and manners is not just for posh people. That's what we say here on a regular basis. And Philip and his team have formed the British School of Excellence, which has changed the lives of so many people, one of whom is here today. And I really do honor the work that they're doing there, because in the world we live in today, especially, being kind, showing up with compassion and empathy and emotional intelligence is so important. And today we're going to be talking about inclusion. Inclusion is a topic that we don't actually get to often enough. And here with us today is Dr. Sadia Rajput. She is an expert in this field. Let's welcome her, and we'll talk about her background and what she's been doing. Welcome to the program.
Hi, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And you're joining us today from Pakistan, correct?
Absolutely.
Well, it's so nice to have you back here with us. We had such a nice conversation when you were here. And for people who haven't met you before, you are an etiquette entrepreneur and mindset disruptor, and also the CEO of the British School of Etiquette Pakistan. So tell us, how did you first meet Mr. Philip, and what was that experience like with the British School of Excellence, which was the British School of Etiquette? And so I guess either name is acceptable now.
Well, thank you so much, first of all. And it's a great honor to be part of this show. My and Philip's first interaction was actually very interesting. I was doing this research on how you can change the mindset, and with neuroplasticity, you can actually bring a change in your life. So I was doing that research, and then I came across the British School of Etiquette. It was the British School of Excellence was the former British School of Etiquette before. So that was back in 2018. So when I just wanted to know that if etiquette, just by learning few codes of behavior, can you actually bring a change in your life? Sometimes things you don't find them. Sometimes things are not as what should I say? Like they sound too good to be true, actually. So I wanted to know, and I wanted to sit with him and exchange and see if I can bring in my part, or if I can apply the rules of neuroplasticity and how human brains, people can change their brains and all that. So we met. I went in, saw him in London at that time, and we exchanged notes. And after we did that, I actually fell in love with this concept, because I'm coming from a medical background. I'm a doctor, an MBBS doctor. I absolutely changed my career, and I decided, well, I can add more value if I bring the British School of Excellence from UK to Pakistan. So this is what I did. I collaborated with Philip, and we are in partnership here in Pakistan. So it's been like quite some time. It's I think 6th or 7th year here in Pakistan, and our journey has been like pretty interesting.
Congratulations on that. That's fantastic. And I've said this so many times before, but I feel like everyone who passes through those doors there at the British School of Excellence is someone who really is giving back and changing the world. And you obviously are one of those people. So you have a medical degree. You are a doctor. Tell us a little more about how you're using that in your career today.
Dr. Jacalyn, I'm a pediatrician. I've done my MRCPCH from the UK, and I was doing this research on neuroplasticity. But I bring with myself my 15 years of experience in pediatrics and child health. But then I switched my career, so I'm no longer practicing it. Yes, but it has helped me a lot, and I'm using all those my medical knowledge and understanding of the human brain, how it works and everything, and I'm inculcating it, bringing it together with the knowledge of understanding of etiquette, and this is how we present.
Thank you, Doctor. DIANN?
That's wonderful. First, I want to congratulate you on listening to your heart and making this change. Not everyone has enough guts to do that, but obviously you have fire in the guts to make it work. And that you've taken your knowledge of medical knowledge and you've used it for good in your new career. And I just really commend you, and I can't wait to learn more about what you're doing.
Thank you so much, Dan.
We were talking a little bit backstage about inclusion in the workplace, and we've also discussed on previous shows about etiquette and manners in the medical field in and of itself, which is such a concept, isn't it? To think about having, you're already upset, you're going in to meet with a physician or a nurse or whomever, and you get treated like you don't even matter, and the physician's under so much pressure to see so many people every day. But you're looking at various aspects of inclusion and etiquette. Tell us more about that.
I'm also doing a PhD currently, and I'm doing it on the mindset for inclusion. So it's an inclusive mindset and how you apply it in the workplace. So I've again brought all the information, the knowledges together, and we have created this program which is called the Etiquette of Inclusion. So when you look at the word inclusion in very simple terms, it means how to include people, how you make them feel respected, heard, and valued. So we worked it all out, and there's a process. You need to have a particular mindset to include people, because we all try, and we are basically in habit of perceiving people with our own perception lenses, and we don't actually value their perspectives. So how you treat people, not coming from just different backgrounds or cultures, but also different personalities, how you value them, it's a research-based program that we have recently created, and it includes different topics, such as in which deep listening plays a very important role, and apart from that, there's also information elaboration, etiquette of information elaboration. So what is information elaboration is like how a leader or team members in a group, how they collaborate, how they coordinate and exchange information without judgment. So it's information elaboration. It's on authentic leadership. It's how you portray yourself authentically with your group members, and value yourself and appreciate others as well. So it's this whole entire process that involves all these things.
Wow.
Yeah, wow, I really appreciate that. For the two of you, I never really thought about this, but Doctor, after what you just said, it makes a lot of sense. Think about even in a personal relationship, when you have information that you have to share with your loved one, how do you actually share that information? What is the etiquette of doing so, especially if you know it could be something that is going to be painful or is not going to be well received?
Absolutely. The first rule of sharing information is to talk to yourself, okay? And hold your self-judgment. And the best way to do that, like our brains are like supercomputers, right? They perceive information, and it's too lazy to actually think before processing that information, right? So it's a vicious cycle. And the best way to break that vicious cycle is to ask yourself questions. So all you need to do is just ask yourself and tell yourself. It's like, well, our self-talk is basically is a kind of programming our own brains. So if you tell yourself that you have to hold your judgment and ask yourself the question, am I judging this person or not, right? And am I being biased or not? I need to hold it back, and I need to allow the person to be himself. So, just these 2-3 statements, it sets your mindset as it sets a stage for open communication. So let it be your colleagues, your work partners, your even your siblings, your children, your loved ones. Let it be. So it's basically it helps. It's what I would say. It connects the missing link for relational coordination.
That is so true. There's that old saying, think before you talk, because you could hurt someone's feelings, right? So
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think where we kind of get trapped or tripped up, I should say, as humans is with our emotions. So if you called me maybe an hour ago, you might have a very different conversation with me than if you called me an hour from now. So depending on whatever it is that we're going through, sometimes when we're delivering information, those emotions that we're feeling that might have nothing to do with what the information is, that might spill out onto someone else, who then in turn passes it on to someone else, and then so on and so on. It's like the dominoes that are all in line. So how can we listen deeply, we withhold judgment? What are some other things that you found, Doctor, in your experience and research that we can do so that we are being more inclusive and less judgmental and emotional?
You are absolutely right, Dr. Jacalyn. It's your emotions. Yes, they definitely play a significant role, because you need to have that mindset. You need to control. You need to know how to control yourself and your emotions, and understand how your emotions are arising. And how you can spill over your emotions onto the others, as it's extremely contagious. So I would like to tell you about, there's this Dr. Amen. He's a neurologist in the US. He's a very famous neurologist, and he states that, these automated negative thoughts, because the negative thoughts and our thought process is not in our control. So he says these are automated negative thoughts. And with automated negative thoughts, it's actually very interestingly, he's put it up like automate ants, ANTS. These are the automated negative thoughts, right? So just imagine you have ants in your brain. Okay, so you definitely don't want to be eaten up by them, right? So you have to kill them. So you have to bust them off. So what's the best way to do that? And you see, so it's all your own self-talk, how you prepare yourself for a better communication. So it's when you talk about deep listening, so there are different processes, like how you set up your mind before you speak, okay, how you talk to yourself and set it up. And then it's when you open your mouth, how you should collaborate, and how you can empathize with the other person. And of course, how you close the conversation is again important. So these are the three steps basically when it comes to informational elaboration, or you call it deep listening, in any conversation. These are the three major portions that you need to do and master.
What a great analogy with those ants. Can you imagine? They're all really...
I know. But I was also thinking, if people took courses like you're describing to be so mindful and deep listening, you probably could save a lot of marriages.
Oh, yes, definitely. Absolutely agree.
Because we do react to emotions,
Yeah.
And we already have this feeling of so.
And we don't allow the other person to be himself, you see, because we are all, telling you very honestly, I'm also into spirituality, and I actually believe we are all different shades of God. Okay,
I
so
love that.
God, even you open any religion and you'll find different names of God, and these are actually the attributes of God. And if you look inside yourself, you'll find them all. Okay, it's up to you which one you want to grow.
So true.
Which
Great point.
attribute you want to grow. So, you can be as powerful. I wouldn't say as powerful as God is, of course, but you see, the thing is, you can master yourself. And this very, I was going through this research, and it said very interestingly that, that science is science. Science is based on facts and something that cannot be changed, right? But you know what knowledge is? Knowledge is all about knowing yourself. How far you know. We spend our lives exploring science and other things and dealing with data and numbers and science, but we forget to know ourselves. And mindfulness is also plays a crucial role in your mindset control. So if you're mindful, if you know yourself, you can definitely control your emotions, and you can also allow first you need to control yourself, only then you allow the others to be themselves.
Excellent. Can either of you think of a time in your life when someone was screaming and yelling or crying, and you just sat there? They were completely out of control, and you just were sort of like a brick wall and just sat there. Do you remember that at all?
I know I've experienced it.
Or maybe we've been the ones screaming and yelling and crying. But when a person loses control like that, first of all, it's exhausting, right? If you're the person, and then to watch someone just completely lose it, and then the feeling of humiliation and embarrassment that you lost control like that, I think that's something to keep in mind, because I have found, at least when I've witnessed this for somebody screaming, yelling at me, that I felt bad for them, because they were obviously very upset and had something that was really bothering them. But I knew at the crux of it, it wasn't what they were screaming about, if that makes any sense. Because they had something deeper that was going on inside. They didn't know themselves. And that's to the point that you were just making, Dr. Sadia, that we have to take the time to get to know ourselves and what are our triggers and how do we react when we get triggered.
Absolutely. Dr. Jacalyn, you've put it in a very nice way.
Thank you. Thank you. Anything you'd like to add to that, to being triggered and what to do?
Well, you know, another greatest art, okay, is how you separate feelings from emotions. How you feel. Emotion is what we think, like we are being sad and all this. And I mean, these two terms are usually, used interchangeably, but people don't know the difference. You see, it's how you feel is like, it's not actually what's happening in the outside world, because it's your own perception of things. And we have this misconception that people can affect our feelings and emotions. There's this very interesting experiment that the scientists did, and what they did, they wanted to know if someone's like saying bad words to you or something like that, or if someone's cursing you, and does it actually affect you, I mean, your facial muscles. So what they did, that they put the electrodes. You must have heard about when any muscle contracts, mostly the experiments that the scientists do is like they put an electrode and see if there is any contraction that's coming. So they wanted to see like if those words can actually cause contraction in your muscles on the face. And just like for instance, if you accidentally put a hand on some hot thing, our bodies are basically designed to to take the hand away reflexly, right? So and this happens only because we have special pathways which affect and which these are the protective pathways which tell us to remove our hand so that we don't get hurt anymore. So they also wanted to see if there are such pathways on the face, in the facial muscles, such pathways which are not under your control, and they result in the facial expressions. So they did this interesting experiment. They made people, they took a group of two groups of people, and to one group they they made them go through all those bad words and cursing statements, and they wanted to see if those statements are causing any facial contraction or the muscles of the face contracting. But it didn't happen. Very interestingly. So they found out that it's not what people say, it's not what you hear, it's not something involuntary. It is absolutely voluntary. All our facial expressions that we create and the feelings and the emotions that we make, these are all our own perceptions. We do it voluntarily. They're not involuntary. So people and the outside environment has nothing to do with how we feel. So we scientifically, it has nothing to do with that. So it's us who take those things. It's us who interpret them, because I don't know Chinese or Japanese. Okay, if someone's cursing me in those languages, I wouldn't mind, because I don't know what they're saying and I can't interpret them, you see. So this was like such an interesting experiment, that if we can utilize it, we can use it practically as well. If we tell our brains that, you see, I actually didn't hear that. Yes. Whatever he's saying, I didn't hear it.
That sounds like a fascinating study. And when you think about it with in Washington, in London, where you have people who are soldiers or who are standing guard, standing watch, and they have no facial expression. You see people standing in front of them, trying to make them do something. Even in the military, I saw a movie about this where you can actually slow down your heart rate so much to the point where if someone were to check, it would seem like you weren't even alive. You're controlling everything yourself. So I love what you were talking about with feelings and emotions. What is the point at which a feeling or emotion becomes an action? So in other words, we are now letting that emotion be known to the world.
It's again a voluntary act. It's not involuntary, right? So involuntary means not under our control, and voluntary means we're doing it ourselves, right? In our brain, again, there are specialized areas in our brain. If we know how to control them, and if we know how to program those parts of the brain by telling ourselves different stories. It's what story you tell yourself that matters, right? So if we tell ourselves a different story and we interpret situations differently, we can definitely control how we react to situations. And there's a way to do that.
Thank you.
That's so fascinating. You know, it all has to do with body language, right? I'll go to different meetings and I will observe, and I can tell what people are thinking based on how they're reacting to what you were talking about. And so I thought it was very interesting that you said it's voluntary, because I know for a fact it would be kind of interesting to hear, like, I don't like cussing. I grew up that's not ladylike. And yet today, younger people, you know, throw out these words and as if it was nothing, you know, like we couldn't even say in our house the word HATE. That was considered a very harsh word, and we would be in trouble for that. Where today people just throw it out like that. So I know for a fact that if I hear that, I'm just going to go like that and stuff. And so I would probably have to take one of your classes on how to control those looks, you know, my eyebrow not going up, etc.
Oh, thank you. I would love to.
So I have a question about that, because I think that's a really important point, Diane, and thanks for the transparency there. So when Diane is raising an eyebrow or reacting, is that based on it's based on a learned behavior from her family as opposed to a judgment?
Oh,
in other words,
it's a wonderful question. Okay, I told you, like, our brains are super lazy. Okay, so our childhood and our life experiences, basically they shape our today's brains. And how they do that, because brain is like, it's an information processing machine, you know, a super fast information processing machine. And the part of the brain that does that is like sitting right just behind your forehead. This part of the brain is like just processing the information. It's a scanning machine. It scans the information and it's saving it. You know, in your childhood, it just saves it and fills up the memory like a computer, right? So next time whenever we encounter a similar circumstances like we have encountered in the past, so the brain still doesn't want to work, right? Because it consumes a lot of energy. But your body also needs energy, right? So brain, you know, it tries not to use that. So what it does, that, you know, like lazily, it just pulls out that previous file and brings it up, and, you know, it just within like a few milliseconds, it brings up that file, your old file, and starts comparing. And when it's comparing, during that comparison process, you start making judgments. And when we talk about body language and, you know, creating first impression, they say scientifically it's like from between 3 to 6 seconds. It only takes 3 to 6 seconds to make the judgment, and it's really, really hard to remove the judgment that you've made from the first impression. Like, for instance, if I have created a wrong impression, right, which was my first impression, and I'll have to meet that person 7 more times at different occasions in order to remove my previous bad impression. So this is how our brain, how strong is the memory of our brain, and which is processing this judgment process. It's a very strong what I would say. I wish I knew any technical term for, like, the computer term for storing that memory files, but this is how it does. So the best way to break this cycle is to tell yourself and ask yourself the questions that I just told you before. Am I being judgmental? Has it happened before? It's not affecting me. And my reaction is under my own control. So just tell yourself these questions. And the minute you do that, the brain, that cycle, that pathway that brain has been building up for years and years, it just breaks.
Doctor, it's really fascinating to the point that you just made, that it takes 7 times for us to have a different experience with that person, maybe lose the judgment that we had. How long does it take for us to ask these questions of ourselves before we actually can feel and see a difference in our own behavior towards judgment?
Well, you need to practice, because this is, again, in our brain, remember that whatever we do, there are pathways, right? So if we exhibit or if we display a certain behavior, we are actually building new pathways, right? So the more we practice it, the better the road becomes. It's just like a road to destination, right? So if it's a broken road, you wouldn't want to follow that, right? Even if, no matter how intelligent, super intelligent you are, you need to build that road out. Only then you would like to drive. And especially if you want to drive with the topless car. So the thing is that you have to practice it, and it's again this research that you need to keep asking yourself these questions for at least 3 months. Why 3 months? Because for the first 30 days, you have to break your old pathways. And the next 30 days, you'll be like building up the new ones. And the last 30 days, you'll be actually solidifying them. So we want them, to be a part of our normal routine, not just like, I have to think like this when I go to my workplace or for special circumstances, because these things never happen. We have to make it a part and parcel of a normal daily routines. Is how we communicate with people, how we interact with people. Let it be anyone. Let it be even your pets, how you interact with your pets. Are you giving your whole self to them? Are you being judgmental? It really makes a lot of difference. My daughter has this pet cat, and I've seen the cat actually understands if I'm not giving my whole self to her. So we're talking about humans, not animals again.
It's such a fascinating topic. Can you share with us again, for people, get your pen and paper, get your keyboard. What are the 3 questions that we need to be asking ourselves?
Am I being judgmental? Number 1. Number 2, has this happened with me before? And am I being biased? And number 3, I have to listen to this person. I have to allow him to be himself. But these are the 3 things that you need to ask yourself, tell yourself, keep telling yourself with every interaction, with everyone who crosses your path.
And when we find that we are being judgmental or biased, then what do we do in that moment?
Well, if we are, we should learn to forgive ourselves as well. I've made a mistake. Forget it, Sadia. You can do it better next time. And you can make up for it. Because you see, we need to build this confidence in ourselves that we can actually change ourselves. Getting into regrets or, overthinking pattern, we are all in habit of guessing what the other person is thinking about.
I was just thinking about that because so you see someone and you're already kind of like tense because something that happened and it could be that way again when you see them. So your brain's already thinking like that, and then they start speaking to you, but your mind's already thinking other things. And it's when the minds are thinking other things while they're trying to talk to you, that's when you need to say, stop.
Yeah.
We're going to answer those 3 questions, correct?
Right. Absolutely. And be kind to yourself, DIANN. That is very important. We're kind to everyone else in the world except ourselves.
Right. That is so true.
So true. I walk around with a bat hitting myself all day.
One of the tricks I learned to do, I was a former classroom teacher and I helped bring technology in the classroom. And there was a lot of teachers who just like, I hate you for making me learn how to do this, right? If you can believe that, but we're talking a long time ago. Anyway, the only way I could get through sometimes down the hallway was if they could hear me coming, they might step out and say something rude. And I would just have to tell myself, keep loving my heart, keep loving my heart, keep loving my heart. And that helped me go forward. And so I just thought I'd tell you that was one of the tricks I did.
Oh, thank you so much, DIANN. It's so I'm sure it's very helpful and creates a great impact.
It was because I took the power away from them. And they started listening.
Absolutely.
Good for you, DIANN. That's fabulous.
We're
actually at the end of our show, and I know there's so much more that we could discuss on this topic. We've never actually discussed it on any of our programs. So thank you, Dr. Sadia, for bringing that to us today.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me. It's a great pleasure and honor to be part of your program. Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn and DIANN, for your time.
Thank you. You brought a lot of value here. And we have your contact information up, but for people who can't read it or they're listening to the program as opposed to watching, what's the best way to get in touch with you? And who would you like to contact you?
Well, I would like anyone can contact me, telling you very honestly, organizations and people of all age groups, right? And the best way to do that is either they can send me an email or just go on my LinkedIn profile and send me a message. I respond.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. And what time is it there in Pakistan?
Well, it's 7:41 p.m.
Okay. Well, you have a beautiful rest of your evening, and we hope you'll come back and see us again and keep us updated with what you're working on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye.
What a fascinating topic, DIANN.
I know I could listen to her all day. And truthfully, Dr. Jacalyn, I was thinking of what she was saying was complimenting so many things in your listening skills, your books, as well as the classes that we take. So she needs to come back and talk more about that, the two of you.
Yeah, we actually talked about doing a course together, so maybe we'll make that happen at some point. And again, I think a lot of it does come with doing that work on ourselves. Like I mentioned this morning, if you had talked to me this morning, it was all in my mind. I was extremely emotional about all these things that haven't happened. We get ourselves all upset thinking this might happen, that might happen. Things never happen. It's whatever it is you're not expecting. But I was really in a very emotional state. Now I feel very calm. So thank you to Dr. Sadia and to you, because if, let's say I had encountered someone in that last hour, I might have taken out what I was feeling on them on something that had totally unrelated. So I think when we start to look at our own behavior, what is really at the root cause of it? And sometimes it could be because we didn't get enough sleep.
This is so true. And you brought up so much value in stating about emotions, you know, as you just did a moment ago, how we are at that moment. If we're all uptight, we have to make sure if we're about to encounter with someone else, we don't carry that forward, that we have to clear our brain and get ready for something positive, like this incredible show.
Absolutely. And I think that really falls in alignment with asking for permission and setting boundaries. I think when we set boundaries, when we are in an emotional state and we reach out to someone, that might not be the best time for that person to have a conversation with us, but yet we're like, I need to talk to you now. We start acting like a child, jumping up and down. I need your attention. No, we don't actually need someone's attention. We need to figure out what is going on with us and why are we losing it. So I know I do a lot of work on that, and it is helpful. So these programs really bring a lot of value to me, definitely. And I know that other people out there are finding the value as well. DIANN, how can people get in touch with you and any announcements you might have?
Oh, thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. Thank you, everyone, for listening to the show. And thank you, Dr. Jacalyn, for inviting me to be a co-host on this fabulous platform. You may reach me at my website. That's the easiest because you'll find all my social media clicks there. And it's DIANNFLOYDBOEHM, DIANNFLOYD BOEHM. And I do have an announcement. I'll have a new children's book coming out in July. So be watching for the pre-order. And it's called, are you ready? Boomer, the Curious Bunny.
I love it. That's such a great title.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
You're first to hear it.
I know. I really appreciate that. Thank you. And so people can purchase your books on your website. They can buy them in the United States, really, at any of the main booksellers and also on Amazon.
You can get linked to my books. I don't sell them personally on my website.
Okay, I thought maybe you signed books. People can get signed copies.
They can email me and talk to me about it. And I was going to open up on my own bookstore to do that, but so many people are purchasing overseas. I found that it was cheaper for them to buy on Amazon or their local stores overseas because you can order it that way as well. And I'm all about people buying as many books from every incredible author that cheapest way that they can so they can grow their library.
Thank you, DIANN. You're very supportive to all of us who are authors, so I really appreciate that. And we want to say hello to the British School of Excellence and to Philip and Leanne and to all of the alumni. We really appreciate you. And DIANN, any final words about the coronation as we sign off for today?
I am gearing up in my brain to get up at 5 a.m. and watch it live. And congratulations to King Charles. He's waited a long time for this. And I'm going to be there watching history as everyone else that's either there in person or watching live streaming.
Thank you, DIANN. And also thanks to Ian Pelham-Turner and Helen Ashard for sharing that clip that we ran earlier when we first started the show. So wishing everyone a beautiful rest of your day, your evening, your weekend, a fabulous coronation. And we will be back with our next show very shortly. Thank you, Dr. Sadia. Thank you, DIANN. And we're going to close out with a promotion for Deborah James, Bow Babe. You'll remember her, DIANN, from one of our other shows. So take a look and we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.
Bye, everybody.
Hello, I'm Deborah James, otherwise known as a Bow Babe. One thing that I wanted to do before I passed away was to set up the Bow Babe Fund. I wanted to set it up to ensure that more people can benefit from some of the things that I benefited from. Alongside Cancer Research UK, we will ensure that more people have access to personalised medicine, clinical trials, cutting-edge technology to help more and more people live longer with cancer. Every penny counts. I cannot thank you enough for your continued support of the BOEHM Fund. You are awesome.